So can you give us a little bit about how you got into the cannabis industry, what your journey was like, and then maybe from there tell us what WeCann does?
Yeah, absolutely. I have been a cannabis advocate my entire life. I was raised by stoners, by flower children, very professional, hardworking people. And I would go to school in the 80s during the DARE days, and they would tell us all this awful stuff about cannabis. And I'd go home to these warm, loving, professional, successful people. And there was a real disconnect for me there. I probably started consuming too young, not because family members gave it to me, but so I didn't see it as the devil's lettuce.
Hmm.
Um, but nonetheless, my family's been in real estate for a very long time. I have been with my mom at all along the way. I'm a only child, single working mom. And so I spent a lot of time in real estate. Eventually, I made my way in 2007 to commercial real estate, working as a generalist, meaning I did anything I could get my hands on, right? Retail, office, industrial, medical, land acquisition, representing tenants and landlords and buyers and sellers across the board. So in 2016, when California went recreational, I realized there was an opportunity for me to create a niche about an industry that I was really excited about. And I knew I wasn't going to be able to operate a cultivation or a retail storefront. So I'm basically lending my expertise to the industry to push it forward um, through real estate. And I teamed up with some incredible people back in 2017. I ran this idea by a friend of mine who I'd known for 20 or more years, and I knew she had a licensed shop in Santa Ana here in California. And I said, hey, what do you think about cannabis real estate as a niche? And she loved the idea. They, in fact, were selling their dispensary, which is now Catalyst here in Santa Ana.
Okay.
And they were moving into the advisory space, her and her brother, doing licensing and entitlement and public advocacy. So my experience in real estate was really important. And we teamed up and we created a full service firm. So, the real estate piece became business brokerage. Now, instead of just structuring real estate deals, the team and I are structuring the sale of pre-operational and operational licenses throughout the country. The licensing side of the business has been extremely successful. There's a lot more competition there nowadays, which is great. But we've done well over 200 applications at an incredible success rate, near 90%. And
Wow.
these are merit-based applications, right? Where there's going to be 50 to 150 applications for 2 licenses, 10 licenses, 20 licenses. And that team has been incredibly successful at that. I don't work on that. I'm not an entitlement professional. My business partner, Milad, heads that team, and he's got staff that works on those deals. But the company's grown, right? Our services have changed. We do property management. We offer a mapping service. We merged with, that's so hard, with CREC in
Yeah.
this 2022. And they were our only real competitor as another full service cannabis advisory that offered the same kind of suite of services. They are out of San Diego. We were out of Orange County. There was a lot of symmetry there, and the merger has been great. We got a lot of great pieces out of it. CREC has what they call the network and the directory. The network is agents throughout the country that we can work with, refer deals to, who can post their listings on the CREC website. The directory is third-party service providers who can take advantage of our SEO. Both websites rank very high for cannabis real estate related searches.
Okay.
And so our listings get eyeballs, our services get eyeballs, and the directory members are able to take advantage of that by being on there, right?
That's
And
great.
they execute referral agreements, and everybody's, uh, you know, happy about it. Um, so yeah, I mean, did I say we do property man? We do property management now.
Yeah.
We've got a number of properties that we're managing. We offer banking solutions. We're not bankers, but we are maintaining a database of near 20 FDIC insured banks and NCUA credit unions.
Wow.
Uh, and we're just trying to push the industry forward. That's it in a very long-winded nutshell.
That's good. That's great. So in that vein, what sort of companies do you look for to either feature on the brokerage side or that you invest in? Like what's sort of getting your attention these days is the most attractive things?
Emerging markets, which, when people hear emerging markets, they generally think of new states coming online,
Okay.
and that is true. But emerging markets can also be new retail areas in states that already had a uh, law, a structure in place, right? A
Okay.
framework, legal framework for medicinal or recreational cannabis. Namely, here in California, there's been a lot of cannabis deserts, right? Where people can't get access to legal cannabis because the cities haven't allowed it. They haven't allowed retail.
Okay.
And when those spots open up, there's a decent amount of demand. The demand's not as much as it was in 17, 18, 19, 20, because operators are strapped for cash. We're helping a lot of folks gain investment dollars and putting them together with various lenders and investors. That's a big push for us right now, is
Okay.
finding where that capital is. I'm of the belief, Hunter, that if the strategy is buy low, sell high, this is a really great low time.
Yeah.
If you're an investor and you want to invest in the cannabis space, you should be in before federal change happens. Now, I'm kind of done with the this is the year it's going to happen
Yeah.
thinking, but it does feel like something's going to happen soon, whether it's rescheduling or banking or any other movement. Those are really big indicators and will change the dynamic of the supply and demand in the cannabis mergers and acquisitions market.
Oh, for
Right now,
sure.
it's a buyer's market, and getting these deals done is very difficult. A lot of that has to do with the regulations and the issues with banking and lending and taxes, federal taxes.
Yeah.
So if some changes can be made there, 280E goes away. If we get to Schedule 3, that should make operators immediately more profitable, more attractive to buyers, making it more of a seller's market. I think there's a big question mark on whether or not the federal government, should they move to Schedule 3, puts in place some kind of federal excise tax.
Hmm.
And if they do, it's still going to be a better situation than the operators are in now.
Because of
Anything.
the access, I'm sorry, because of the access to a broader marketplace as well as a deeper pool of investors and folks like that when they've got a lot more understanding of the security of their investment, just opening the marketplace broader in general.
Yeah, but it's the taxation, right? The
Yeah.
federal taxes, these guys are subjected to 280E, where they can't write off their expenses beyond cost of goods sold. And so
Right.
they're taxed at a, just insane rate. It's not fair. So they have slim margins in their states anyways, especially with the local and state taxes, however the structure is. And then they got to turn around and pay the feds some crazy amount of money where it's not really where their profit line is. Their profit line's down at their NOI or their EBITDA, but they're taxing them right after cost of goods sold.
Wow.
And that's prohibitive.
Yeah.
So um, banking would help, but like I said, we're offering banking solutions to the industry. There are a lot of FDIC insured banks that, for a monthly fee, will do good banking for these clientele.
That's
Getting
great. I think more people need to know about that. I'm sure you guys are doing a good job of getting the word out.
100%. We're trying, right? We're trying. It's a fairly new service that we're rolling out. But I'm excited about the future of cannabis. Yeah, it's a very difficult time and a dark time, I feel, in cannabis. Well, but I see a light at the end of the tunnel. And I'm not sure if I'm wanting to see that light or if it's actually there. It seems like every cannabis professional, whether they're an operator or a service provider or a consultant, seems to have a little bit of a different take.
Hmm.
Uh, so I'm just kind of in wait and see mode, but I do firmly believe that if the strategies buy low, sell high, you're going to want to be invested before changes occur at the federal level. It could be this year, it could be 5 years. I
Yeah.
don't know. But in my view, the industry, shot up and came down and is in that bottom area where it's kind of plateaued for a couple years now. Could it go down further? I suppose. But as emerging markets come on, as more and more people find that cannabis isn't the end of the world and that there are real medicinal benefits to it, that it's safer than alcohol,
Hmm.
that the plant has real benefits as a textile if you're using hemp anyways. There's all kinds of uses. And as more
Absolutely.
and more people discover this, it's just going to make it fairly inevitable. So uh, it seems like there's a lot of cash on the sidelines, but there's a lot of operators who need cash to expand and do OpEx and marketing and do the things that they need to do. So, we do know where a lot of good lending solutions are, but I'd like to structure more deals directly with investors, JV partnerships, profit sharing models, can be equity or debt or a combination therein. There's all kinds of ways to get these deals done.
That's great. Well, hopefully your optimism can help will it into existence and move things along a little bit.
I hope so. I'm
For
sending all
sure.
those thoughts into the big computer in the sky.
That's right. Well, you mentioned hemp and sort of in conjunction with your notion of keeping an eye on emerging markets. Do you look to that space at all? Is that something where you've considered investing? And if it's something you're looking at, with some of the criteria that you use to evaluate cannabis opportunities, be comparable? Just I'd love to hear your thoughts on that space in general.
We have not focused on hemp as a firm. I I would be remiss to offer any kind of advice or anything on hemp, unfortunately. I'm a big believer in hemp, as I kind of alluded to.
Yeah.
In my view, hemp can reduce or eliminate deforestation. It can reduce the drilling for fossil fuels because it can replace plastics,
Hmm.
it can replace papers. You can use it for certain clothing, although it may not be the most comfortable. But nonetheless, it soaks up exponentially more carbon from the sky and produces exponentially more oxygen per acre than a forest. So if we can plant hemp to produce textiles and other items, paper and whatever, instead of cutting down trees, I think that will do a lot for the planet's lungs. But I'm
Absolutely.
not a scientist. This science has been out there for decades.
Hmm.
I wrote a paper about it in English class at UCLA, and I was gobsmacked by how obvious it is.
It's wild in that regard. Yeah,
Yeah.
you'd think we'd be lining up for the opportunities.
And, that's aside from the medicinal benefit or even the psychoactive ways that hemp can be used to, help somebody get high.
Right.
Um, so I don't have an opinion beyond my belief that hemp is part of the solution, that cannabis, including hemp, is part of the solution, not the problem. It's
Mhm.
not the devil's lettuce. If you're religious, it's God's gift. I'm
Yeah.
not a religious person, but it's not the devil's lettuce. It's quite literally the opposite.
Yeah. It's
So
incredible.
that's my view. I don't know how profitable that side of the industry is right now. Um, we obviously have the connections and ability to research and go after that market, but there's so much going on in the legal cannabis THC side of the business, and we already have a lot of services. I think we'd be kind of taking our eye off the ball if we were to move in that direction.
Got it. Yeah, it's interesting. I think some cannabis operators probably feel the same way, right? They're intrigued by the opportunity and certainly watching pretty closely, but not wanting to play the shiny object game. So
Yeah,
there's that as well.
yeah.
Well, where can folks find out more about what you guys offer at WeCann, and get in touch with you?
Sure. I mean, I'm on LinkedIn. Jason Piazza. My business partner, Milad Rafi'i, is also on LinkedIn. Both of the brands that we represent are on LinkedIn, but our website for WeCann is right there, wecan.biz. You can go to cannabisrealestateconsultants.com or really just search cannabis real estate. You're going to find CREC at the top, sometimes number two, and you'll find WeCann somewhere in 2, 3, or 4 position. Um, Aside from that, people can call me. I don't know if I should put my phone number on on an interview like
I'm
this.
sure they can. I'm sure they can find it at the
Find it online.
name so far. Yeah.
Um, but yeah, we do broker price opinions. We've done expert testimony for various legal cases. We've represented listings for receiverships. You name it, we've done it. We really feel like we understand the industry very well. We have its best interest at heart. We pride ourselves in customer service, and we have great relationships with brokers, attorneys, operators of all kinds throughout the country. I don't know if I said this already, but we have listings now in Massachusetts, New Jersey, New York, Michigan. We're working on some stuff in Ohio and Kentucky.
Wow.
Obviously, things all throughout California. We've done business in Oregon and Nevada and Arizona and New Mexico and Washington. We haven't really done anything in Colorado, surprisingly, but that market was just so far ahead of everything else. By the time we came in, wasn't much for us to do.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, we're here for the industry. We are professional cheerleaders. I just made that up right now. I've never said that. Trying
That's
to get it into the right place, man.
that's what advocates do, right? Well, it sounds like you've got a good bit of the map, literally and figuratively covered.
There are times. So we built a business really on licensing and finding real estate procurement. To
Okay.
find real estate in cannabis, you've got to map out what's called the green zone. You got to put in all the sensitive uses, identify the proper zoning, database the properties, get all the contact numbers, and just start calling.
Mm.
Done so many of these calls. I've trained people on how to make these calls. We've been very successful at it. But I will tell you that a lot of people here in Southern California early on did not want to hear about cannabis in their building.
Mm.
And I knew I'd never turn these people. But as an advocate, I would talk to these folks for 5 or 10 minutes, however long I could get away with, trying to break down the reefer madness mindset
Mm-hmm.
that they had going on from the propaganda that's been put on the American public and the world for about 100 years now.
Yeah.
And you could hear their brains going,
Okay, I see what you say. Yeah.
And then I just let it go. Maybe I'd call back in a week or a month or something just to see if they change their mind, and they never would. But it's worth it. It's worth the time. If nobody's whispering the truth to people who have the wrong information about what cannabis is, and it's going to be really hard to get the country to move forward. Yes, it's polling at like 70%, but the old guard is still in control.
Mm-hmm.
And we got to break down those barriers. We don't see enough in the news.
Mm.
There's very little, if any, information coming out about the truth of cannabis or how the industry has been hindered. And I'd like to see more of that. I'd like to see these lobbying groups come together, the operators come together with patients, with customers, with employees and executives and brands and service providers and consultants, all as one, saying, hey, government, hey, news agencies, this is what's going on. This is the truth about cannabis. So,
waging a bit of a re-information campaign, so to speak.
yeah, I like that. A re-information campaign.
There's been enough disinformation that folks need to, have more, I think, anecdotes and narratives and just understand stories of people's lives, right? And seeing how not only their lives are impacted or their livelihoods in the case of folks that work in the industry, like you mentioned.
And we're starting to see that. Elliot at Catalyst is putting together a lobbying arm specifically in California. We're hearing about lobbying efforts at the federal level among big MSOs coming together. I'm so encouraged by that.
That's
I
great.
just want to see them get the customer, get the employee, get the individual executives, along with the brands and so many others that are all affected by these bad laws.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, that's my soapbox.
Well, I think it's a good soapbox, a worthy one, and we're here to amplify it. So that's perfect. Thank you so much, Jason, for joining us on New Beverage Partners here for the Highly Capitalized Network. Really appreciate your time and to glean some of the insights you've had to share with us.
Thank you, Hunter. It's been a pleasure.
Likewise.